These UFC fighters really came from nothing. We all had listened to many stories about the hard work that an athlete would have done to reach the big stage. But some have the resources, favorable conditions, and supporting family and friends. Meanwhile, on the other hand, there come people with no background, no references to anything, and yet they have achieved a great feat in the sporting world. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. In today's video, we are going to look into the lives of those UFC fighters who really came from nothing and still made a great impact on the game. Let's start with Anderson Silva. As difficult as it is to believe now, all-time great Anderson Silva was on the verge of quitting MMA to work at McDonald's. Silva was born into a poor household and was taken to live with his aunt and uncle at an early age. Silva did work at McDonald's in his teens, but then switched to MMA and clocked up an 11-2 record before the actual falling out with the legendary Shoot Box team in 2003. Along with the Pride organization abruptly giving him the cold shoulder, leading the Spider to grow disappointed with the sport. After signing with the UFC a few years later, Silva could do no wrong, rapidly earning the middleweight championship and defending it in a record 10 times in the next 7 years, solidifying his legacy as a living legend. On to the next, George Masvidal. George Masvidal had a difficult life growing up on the streets of Miami, as Masvidal Sr. was caught on drug charges in 1989 and sentenced to 18 years in jail. Masvidal's anger as a kid frequently landed him into issues with others. Masvidal used to fight in backyard street fights for money when he was little. His backyard battle videos went popular on YouTube. Masvidal rocketed to popularity in 2019 with 3 amazing UFC wins. After a professional MMA career spanning nearly 16 years, Gamebred began his spectacular climb by knocking out Darren Till. Ben Askren came up next, and he only lasted 5 seconds against the Miami native. These 2 victories propelled Masvidal to a sensational bout for the BMF title against Nate Diaz. On to the next, Frank Shamrock. He had a tough life, spending time in foster care and juvenile correctional facilities. Bob Shamrock, who had previously adopted an older kid called Ken Kilpatrick, named Ken Shamrock, eventually took him in. Frank made his MMA debut in December 1994 in Tokyo, Japan, for an organization called Pancrase, after only a year of training. Bas Rutten, a 3-time king of Pancrase and eventual UFC heavyweight champion, was his opponent. In that battle, Frank pulled off a massive upset by winning by decision. He went on to win titles in Pancrase, the UFC, the WEC, and Strikeforce before retiring in 2010. Moving towards next, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's rags to riches story is one of the most extraordinary in the sport of mixed martial arts. The Irishman has gone a long way from working as a plumber and collecting welfare checks in Dublin to being ranked first on Forbes magazine's list of the highest paid athletes in 2021. The Notorious began boxing at the age of 12 while growing up in the slums of Crumlin. McGregor turned his attention a few years later to the then unknown sport of mixed martial arts. At the age of 18, Mystic Mac began a plumbing apprenticeship, but subsequently dropped out to focus on his combat sports career. Here comes our last UFC fighter, Francis Ngannou. There are a few UFC competitors who have had a more difficult route to the UFC than Francis Ngannou. The Predator, who was born in a quiet suburb in Cameroon, had to start working in a sand mine at the age of 10 to support his family. Ngannou came to France after spending so long illegally crossing borders and even doing time in prison. There he met Didier Carmont, who assisted him in getting into mixed martial arts. Beginning his professional MMA career in 2013, the 34-year-old waited more than 7 years to win UFC gold. At UFC 260, he fought Stipe Miocic to capture the heavyweight championship and emerge as the new baddest man on the planet. Okay, that's all from my end. I hope you all liked the stories covered in the video. Make sure that you like the video and share your views with us in the comment section. Press the subscribe button to get regular videos from us, and do not forget to hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one.